This is a splitting maul, all right? This end is good for smashing things. This is basically a sledgehammer right here, right? And as you can see, it's got a fat profile. Now, I modified this and I made it thinner and keener up front, but it's still quite a wedgy profile. And as you can see, it's got a high center line. And what a high center line can do is it helps the axe stick a little less. It's not a perfect design feature, but it'll improve a little bit. What you're really looking for is a thick wedging profile. And the longer the bit is, usually the less thick these cheeks are. This is actually pretty long, but this was an 8-pound maul, which means it was quite heavy. Normal axe is around 3.5 pounds. This is what I would call a felling axe. This is heavy, so you might think, oh, it's 5 pounds, it's going to be a great splitter. But the bit is long, right? So the bit is long, and it's pretty thin in the cheeks. And now you could say, oh, it has a convexing high center line, and so it'll be a good splitter. No, it's thin, and the bit is sort of long. It's not really a splitter. You'll be able to split some easy stuff with it. If you really know what you're doing, you could split with it. But when you stick it into the wood and it gets stuck, you're really wasting a lot of energy getting it unstuck. This is a similar axe. This is really a cutter right here. Very long bit, okay? Super long bit. And pretty thin, about 4.5 pounds, so it's got some weight to it, but you want to cut with this bad boy. And here's sort of an in-between. This is 4.5 pounds, and it's got a little bit of thickness to it. So you could use this for either or. Now, when it comes to the front of the edge, this is called the apex at the end, and this is called the shoulder of the bevel. This is your main bevel, this thing that's ground here, well, filed. I filed this. That's your bevel. And your bevel angle is going to tell you how keen the front of your axe is. So that bevel could go all the way from the apex to the front of the eye, or it can go like this from here to that shoulder, right? Now, this axe is set to about 27.5 degrees. It's kind of a fat profile, so it doesn't stick too bad when it comes to splitting, right? And here is my best splitter. I use this all the time, and it's not perfect because it's not super heavy. It's only 4.25 pounds, but it's got a nice thick profile, and the bit is short. So when you have a stubby bit from the front of the eye to the apex, when it's not that long in this dimension, you might just have a good splitter on your hands. What you want to look for is a wedging, continuous wedging profile up to at least the start of the front of the eye. I'll show you a little bit about how these all split now. This is going to be my worst splitter. Watch how this gets stuck. Now, I did not swing very hard. All right, so that's unpleasant. Here's the other one. One other thing you want to think about for a splitter: the longer handles are probably going to be better. It's safer, and you can also work up more velocity on that head with less energy. So I missed there. See how difficult it is? Now here's kind of a medium splitter. So this can cut and it can split. Both not too great, but better than nothing. Once I got it it was stuck in there harder because I kind of went right into this crack, right? But once I got it free, it came out pretty easy. When something's real thin, it'll really want to stay in there no matter how you think you got it loose, but it's still wanting to stay in there. And now this is my favorite. This is an axe from the 1800s. Absolute dream, this axe. So I swung the hardest. So once it gets free, you see that? It came free pretty nice once it came free. Now, this is not an easy piece of wood to split. And now, the axe with a pretty good profile, but still relatively long bit. It could be a lot stubbier. See how easy that came loose? Very easy. The axes you can cut with, not necessarily the axes you should be splitting with. They all have their purpose, and you got to find that purpose, or you have to modify them to how you want to use them. My recommendation is don't try to be splitting with anything under 4 pounds unless you're splitting real easy timber. Splitting right, I'm trying to go right through knots. If you want to test how sticky an axe is, put it into some big knots, because the knot's not going to give. And the knot actually, what the knot will do, imagine the knot like a piece of rebar. The knot actually squeezes that wood back together that's trying to split. So that's why it holds onto your axe. So let's see what happened in there.
Well, I was feeling real cool about myself, and I said, well, sometimes it's real hard to split a piece of wood, and what you can do is you can use this sledgehammer and you can hit the maul that's already in the wood that you swung at it. And I did it. It wasn't even that hard with the maul and the sledge. And it looks like I didn't record that, so I was wondering why this video seemed shorter than I thought it would be.
The way I like to pry apart wood with an axe, I use the front of the bit. This is almost like how you use a froe. You could almost stab with it. So as you can see, a lot of funk going on in there. Wavy grain because of knots. And because what oak likes to do is be real nasty in the very middle. It's called the pith. Oak can be very nasty. And the pith is basically just the most immature part of that tree. When it was a sapling, that's the pith. Now that we got it in little pieces, I'll show you something. This is the thickness if I try to split on the side. So before the axe can stick and get stuck, it might have already separated those fibers. So you can use a little bit of a worse splitter. Boom. There are 2 knots. 1 knot here, 1 knot here. I'm going to try to go through the middle. Now my foot is pretty safe. I'm going down into this part, but I wouldn't recommend doing what I'm doing. I'll try to be accurate and hit the same place. Let's see if it's stuck bad. Nope. Easy to get out. Don't want to split. It's trying to go into those knots. So one way to get it loose, knock the front right here. That helped a little. There we go. That was a miss. There we go. If you're having problems with knots, sometimes you're going to need to cut it. So if your maul's dull, you might need to get out something with a little bit of an edge. There it is.